the ancient pages of Genesis, a vessel unlike any other is described. Vast in size, exact in its proportions, and built with a purpose far beyond mere transportation. According to the text, it was constructed by a man named Noah under divine instruction to preserve life through the most catastrophic event the world had ever seen, a global flood. This ark, as it came to be known, has captivated the human imagination for centuries. Was it real? Could such a colossal wooden structure have actually existed? And if it did, where is it now? For thousands of years, people have searched for answers. And though controversy surrounds the topic, there is evidence, persistent, physical, and historical, that suggests the Ark may not be legend at all, but a long-lost artifact of a real global event. The book of Genesis tells that after the floodwaters began to recede, the Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Not a single mountain, but a mountainous region. At the heart of this region stands Mount Ararat, the highest peak in modern-day Turkey, rising over 16,000 feet above sea level. For centuries, it has been the focus of countless Ark expeditions. In 1960, a Turkish army captain noticed something unusual in aerial photos taken just south of Mount Ararat. A large, boat-shaped formation embedded in the earth, measuring approximately 515 feet in length, almost exactly the size described in the Genesis account when converted to modern measurements. The location became known as the Darupanar site. Unlike surrounding rock formations, this one had a distinct outline. It appeared symmetrical, with a raised middle and tapered ends, like the shape of a ship hull. The discovery sparked international interest. Geologists, archaeologists, and researchers descended on the site to investigate further. Ground-penetrating radar surveys revealed internal structure, parallel lines, and right angles beneath the surface, patterns consistent with man-made construction. Metal detectors identified a grid of iron-like residues arranged in regular intervals, running the length of the formation. These metallic signals aligned with what might have once been large rivets, bolts, or braces buried deep in the soil. Some samples taken from the area showed laminated structures resembling petrified wood. Chemical analysis even detected traces of organic carbon, suggesting the material had once been living wood, and this was at an altitude where no trees grow, on terrain that had long been considered barren. While skeptics questioned the findings, others were convinced. They argued that the structure's shape, dimensions, and material composition couldn't easily be explained as a natural phenomenon. Meanwhile, experts in naval architecture examined the specifications given in the Bible: 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, 30 cubits in height. That converts to roughly 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high, a near-perfect 6-to-1 length-to-width ratio. Marine engineers in South Korea and the United States tested these dimensions using scale models and computer simulations. They discovered that such a vessel would have had remarkable stability in turbulent water. It wasn't designed to sail or steer. It was built to survive. Like a massive floating barge, the Ark's shape would resist capsizing even in waves up to 100 feet tall. This level of seaworthiness, described in an ancient text over 3,000 years old, left many researchers stunned. How could a primitive civilization have known the ideal design for surviving a massive storm? But perhaps the most intriguing evidence doesn't come from geology or engineering. It comes from culture. Flood stories are not exclusive to the Bible. In fact, more than 200 cultures around the world, spanning every inhabited continent, have preserved ancient flood legends. These stories often include a divinely sent flood, a righteous man warned in advance, animals taken into a large vessel, and the eventual survival of humanity. In ancient Sumeria, the Epic of Gilgamesh tells of Utnapishtim, a man who built a giant ship to escape the wrath of the gods. The similarities to Noah's story are undeniable. The flood, the animals, the sealed boat, and even the sending out of birds to find dry land. In India's Vedic texts, a man named Manu is warned by a fish about a world-destroying flood. He builds a large boat, loads it with animals and sages, and survives the deluge. In China, one of the earliest dynastic records tells of a catastrophic flood that forced the people to flee to mountaintops. In Hawaii, legends speak of a giant canoe that saved humanity. The Aztecs, the Inca, the Australian Aboriginals all remember a world-covering flood and a vessel that carried life to safety. These stories vary in detail, but the core elements remain consistent. This global memory, preserved in oral tradition and sacred text, hints at a shared historical event. And it doesn't end there. In the 1st century AD, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus wrote that the Ark still existed in his time. He claimed that travelers to the mountains of Armenia could see its remains and even collect pieces of its wood. Other early church fathers and Islamic scholars made similar claims, suggesting the Ark was visible for many generations before vanishing under ice and rock. In more recent history, there have been numerous eyewitness accounts. During World War I, 2 Russian aviators claimed to have seen a large ship-like structure on Mount Ararat, half buried in ice. In the 1950s, a Kurdish shepherd described finding wooden beams high on the mountain. In the 1980s, explorer Ron Wyatt and his team conducted extensive work at the Darupanar site, providing videos and reports that sparked further interest. While no one has brought back definitive museum-quality remains, the consistency of these accounts across time, cultures, and scientific disciplines continues to stir curiosity. Locals who live in the shadow of Mount Ararat still speak of the Ark with reverence. Some say it is divinely hidden. Others believe it was never meant to be found fully intact. A few even suggest it will be revealed in the end times as a sign to the world. Whatever the case, the pieces are there. The ancient text, the strange formation in the mountains, the engineered feasibility, the worldwide flood traditions, the eyewitness testimonies, and the lingering sense that something monumental once happened, a cataclysm that reshaped the earth and left behind a story that refuses to die. Perhaps the Ark of Noah is not just a religious symbol, but a real historical vessel that still lies buried in the high places of the earth, a monument to survival, a warning, and a reminder, a man, a family, and a divine command, a flood that wiped away everything known, and a massive ship sealed in pitch that carried the seed of a new world. Maybe it still rests beneath the snow and stone. Maybe one day it will be revealed.